109 to 60 foot. This could well be another 6-second pass. It is 6.86. Look at the speed as well. 195 miles an hour. Quicker than he ran before and backs it up perfectly. 109 to 60, 4:39 at 160 miles an hour to the 8th. Congratulations to the whole team. That is the new record.
My name is Thomsen, or Henrik Thomsen. The bike is called Silver Lightning. It was an incredible feeling. I knew just right after 100 meters that it was going to go great, because we had struggled a lot with the first 100 meters with tire shakes, but we had gone up in power, we had gone up in launch, so the launch was instantly, and we bettered the 60 foot from 113 to 109. We bettered the 201 meters from 461 to 437. So it went so fast in the beginning. We had the wheel speed or the wheel spin that we needed to get off the tire shakes. So it went much straighter from the beginning than it has been doing, because it has been more like dong, 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 dong to the side. Now it just span and then it went straight. The tire shakes were still there, but they didn't feel so horrendous as they did before. And then when I came down like mid-track, I noticed I hadn't closed my visor totally. It was a little open, but that was not so clever. But okay, I was just talking to myself and it's there, just keep going. I let it go for a long time, even also because it's bumpy, of course, but just to release and say, okay, fine, you can brake later. I've been holding the throttle, but because of the shakes, I've been like 95 instead of 100% on the throttle, but I'm not so used to going at these speeds, of course. It's only maybe my 5th race over 300 kilometers, more than 190 miles per hour. We've been running for 12 years, and we have built 4 bikes that all were called something with silver, because we used aluminium. So it was Silver Dwarf, Silver Giant, Silver Bullet, and now Silver Lightning. But it started out with times like 10 seconds, 12 seconds, and then it just went further and further down. I never thought we were going to be this fast, because it's like this record has been standing for 8 years, and so it's like it seemed to be like a thing in the future you would never reach. But suddenly we were there, and we have the bike, and Glenn has done a tremendous job in building it, and we have fought a lot to also to get the money, to get the parts, to find the setup, and we have good backup from the team members, from Tobias and the other person. So.
And why electric bikes? Why was that what you wanted to do?
It was not to be green in any way. Actually, it was more to try something different, that would also be challenging, like technically challenging. And also because the batteries suddenly were better. And my cousin said, well, we should build something electric one day, because the batteries are getting there soon. But at that time, there were no Tesla, there were nobody had heard about electric vehicles, really. The present has caught up with us now, because now electric vehicles are everywhere, and so we are more relevant than we were maybe 10 years ago. We came from a track, Mantorp in Sweden, where the grip is less strong. I think this is the strongest grip we have ever seen. And I know you renewed the track 2 years ago or something, so it's a very good grip. So we had more like forgiveness in the Mantorp track, because we could have those little spins down the track, so it was easier to correct the lines. The bike will go left. We don't know why, but it is going left. So I'm sitting a little to the right. But this time I didn't need to compensate very much. It just went because we got the wheel speed that we needed, or the spin we needed. So it was a problem for us to adjust to this kind of grip, really. We've always fought against, wheel spinning, but now we had to increase power to get that. But that's of course a plus for the track. But at the same time, it was problematic for us, because if you ask us before the run now, we were like a little down. So we had big discussions on what to do and how the setting should be, and so we ended up like, okay, now we try this, but we didn't done that before and it didn't really help. But suddenly it helped. We also had Ian King here to view some of the, and we have to say thank you to Ian King for this, because he came and came with some good viewpoints, and he looked at the bike from behind. He looked at the data logging, and that was also a big help. Also, we have talked with Team Speedy, the other Danish riders, the double European champion, and they also came with good input for us. So we have to learn from the ones that knows a lot better than we, because we are not so much in these big bikes. We only have like 1 year experience, really. So we only started to about this record 2 years ago, because we didn't have a bike to do it. It's from 2019, but the record has been standing for 8 years, and nobody have been taking it. And we have 3 rail dragster teams, electric in America, with Don Garlitz, with Steve Huff, and John Metrick. We run Sirius motors, DC motors. They run AC motors, 3-phase motors, and it's much more complicated to get that to work in terms also of torque from the line, starting off the line. So they have been going more after the 200 mile per record mark. I don't see anybody having anything that can do this sort of time now. But we don't really know how. I mean, Steve Huff is very good backed up, but at least within bikes, I don't think there are anybody. But maybe Steve Huff will do something, because he has done the 201 mile now, and Don Garlitz is 89 years old, so he's a bit, maybe it's too late for him. He's a legend in drag racing also. But he has built 2 electric now, and he has done a 7.2 as best. So, but these are the competitors, but they are struggling with the new technology, and it's much more expensive also. So we are running the old technology as long as we can, and we push it as far as we can. But we know it's old technology. We know it's like not the new stuff. But you often have this in racing. You have 2 sorts of ways to go, and right now it's easier or it's cheaper to do the thing we do. Because we did the 7.8 in Malmö, and we were sort of, should we try to take the record here? But we had only like one run left, because the time was gone. So it came as a surprise. And then we were like, but we have to find somewhere where there is a good track. So it was either Finland, Karlhuva track, or this track. And then it seems we knew there would be maybe more spectators. It would be more of a fuss here. It would be a better scene to do it. We're very happy that we came. Even if we didn't do the record, it's been fantastic. It's a fantastic place, really.
So we are here looking at the Silver Lightning. We just set a world record. We're very pleased. We were really doubting. We had a lot of troubles going left and right, and tire shakes and so on. Ian King was so kind as to give us some good advices, which were very good advices. We took off the side plate here to have a look at. I mean, with the side plate it looks like nothing else, but with the side plate off we can actually see the 2 motors, which are quite small. They weigh 45 kilos, originally made for forklifts, electric forklift motors. These motors are so much modified that they don't resemble what they were before. But originally for 48 volts, 160 amps or something like that, we present them with 350 volts and 2000 amps. People often ask us, could you do a Texas mile, for example, which is accelerating over 1 mile? And if we were to do that, the motors would incinerate, explode, more or less. Everything is pressed to the maximum. We have internals of the motors that become very close to 200 degrees hot. Every time there's an electrician here, he looks at the cables and say, that cable is not good for 2000 amps, but it is good enough for 2000 amps, as long as you keep it very short. The cables at the finish line are 80 degrees hot. So in a Texas mile, they would melt simply. We have adjustable timing of the brushes. in a normal electric motor like this, the brush and the magnetic field would line up. You would call that neutral timing, but when we pressure the motor so much, we have to advance the brushes. It's a little bit like advancing a timing on a car. And when you advance the timing, you gain power in the top end, but you lose torque in the bottom end. And that is more or less the same with this. In the front here, we have 100 kilos of LiPo batteries. Very much similar to what you would be running in a RC plane or helicopter or whatever. The cells in this vehicle is specially made for our purpose. There only exist 3,000 of these cells. We have them in this, and we have a car as well with 1,600 horsepower, like a door slammer or something like that. It's broken now, that's why we didn't bring it. And we came here with the sole purpose to take Larry Spiderman McBride's 7-year, I think, old record. I welded up the frame. We bought the tubes. It's my own design. A little bit of Speedy and Marcus's design also. We live in the same town, so we ping pong a little bit. They're very helpful. Hugh Aya rear rim and Mickey Thomsen tire. I was very glad that I did this adjustable. Many of the bikes cannot adjust the height. And since this is new technology, Speedy from Speedy Racing said you can never build it too low. But because we have the battery so far forward and so low, this actually was too low. We couldn't get it to wheelie simply, and it unloaded the tire all the time. So we moved the rear axle down, lifted the bike up so it transferred more weight to the back, and right now we're at a perfect spot with it. We chose aluminium covering because it's easy to make. All of our bikes, we've had 3 bikes before this. All of the bikes had in the name had something with silver. Silver Dwarf, Silver Giant, Silver Bullet, and now Silver Lightning. And it started out with that actually the frame for the bike was actually the battery box. So I just made a box and put a front wheel and a rear wheel on it, and then we had a bike. The last couple of weeks we've tried to lower the weight of the bike. I pulled 6 kilos off it. I believe that's 12 pounds or something like that. And one of the things was this very light carbon seat. Instead of the seat that was made of aluminium and weighing close to 1 kilo, we have now half weight of that. When we come back from a run, the motors will be, internals of the motors will be close to 200 degrees, and the batteries will have an elevated temperature of about maybe 5 degrees or something like that. But we like that, except if we have to run like 5 runs after each other. So during nighttime, we heat the battery pack to 30 degrees. So we start out at 30 degrees. Right now, after this run, they were 45, so we've cooled them a little bit. We have this air-conditioned units, run-of-the-mill air condition from a normal store, and we blow like 5 degrees cold air into this area, and the only way it can exit is through the motors and out in the other side. So right now we have cold motors, and we like that. The battery pack of the Silver Lightning consists of 680 of these, I don't recall precisely, 680 or 690 of these cells. This is LiPo cells, similar to what's in your phone or what's in a radio-controlled helicopter or car or something like that. The nasty thing about these cells is when this is discharged, that's why I will wiggle it around here. When they are charged, if you short-circuit them or if you puncture them with a nail or something like that, they will burst into flames within a couple of seconds. And I mean, like, this will give a meter flame to each side. And you cannot extinguish them. You can cool them with water, but you cannot extinguish them. And that is one of the reasons I know that this track, 2 years ago, I think, banned electric vehicles for 1 year, and then it came back again. And we have the same problem in Sweden now, that we are not allowed to run on our home track, sort of. We don't have a track in Denmark, we only have a track in Sweden, but it's a one hour drive from there. We have 100 kilos of batteries in here, in 2 battery packs paralleled. So we have 2 times 350 volts, and we are capable of delivering 2 times 2,000 amps, which all in all boils down to 1.2 million watts, 1.2 megawatts, but only for 5 seconds. That was battery, that was motor. It's also a little bit different from the point of view of how we launched this, because on a normal top fuel bike, you would have a clutch and a 2-speed gearbox. And the way I think they do it is they are on the starting line and then they throttle it. Here we have a small button here, which is a launch button. Hansi starts by pressing that when he's in pre-stage. Then he gives it full throttle, and then he goes into stage. And when the light goes green, or a little bit later, because we are not very used to competition, then he lets go of the button. And then the bike accelerates. We have some small buttons here which can delay how the current is fed into the motors. This track is really, really good. Thanks for that. Really good and really sticky. And that was actually one of our problems, because the tracks we've been running up until now have allowed us more wheel slip. That's why we put this system into it, because at some point we had the problem that the torque was coming too fast and breaking the tire loose right at the start line. So we built in the system. Right now it's totally shut off. We just give it all that it got at the starting line, and it just goes. So small homemade data logger. More or less everything is homemade. I mean, I assembled the battery pack myself, soldered all the cells, made the electronics, the battery management system and so on. But I'm an electronic technician or an engineer, or in between there. Have been fiddling around with electronics since I was. My father stuck a soldering iron in my hand when I was 8 years old or something like that. So, and this has been passion for. I'm very much into it for the technology as much as for the drag racing. I was drag racing like Saturdays and Sundays with a Chevy from 1955 with a turbo and nitrous oxide, you know. So we are not in it from the green side, but for me it's the technology, and to see that you can build something that works better than other people that also try to do their best in the United States, but it all boils down to the ET, right?
So how do you feel all your work going into it?
I was very happy. I cried a little bit when I walked back. So yeah, that was good. That was good.